Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day before Valentine's Day, and I certainly hope that you do not forget to take care of your Valentine. And also, hey, look, don't forget your family too. After all, Valentine's Day is about love. Now, I'm shifting gears because what I'm about to talk about now has nothing to do with love for Valentine's Day. It has, unfortunately, a lot to do with someone who's not a good guy. Now, I'm proud to say, and I've said it before, that San Leandro Councilmember Bryan Azevedo hired, actually his campaign hired Zenny 62 Media because he was being harassed. Councilmember Azevedo was being harassed by supporters of this guy. Okay, this guy right here. All right. And if I move back a little bit, there he is. He is former San Leandro council member and real estate consultant, Ed Hernandez, who outspent Bryan Azevedo by a factor of 2-1, and yet Azevedo won by just 454 votes. Now, how did Zenny 62 Media get involved? We're incorporated. I'm happy to tell you. One of our great supporters called me to let me know that they contacted Bryan because Bryan was in a position where he was being attacked by this guy right here. Yeah, that guy, his name is Stephen Tavares. He's a blogger who likes to think he's a journalist. And actually, that's his face on the Facebook page of one of the Ed Hernandez supporters that tried to make himself famous, Lee Thomas. Yeah, they're in business together. All right. They're thick as thieves. And that statement, thick as thieves, doesn't come originally from me. It comes from another big time San Leandro person whose name I am not going to utter. But like many others in San Leandro, have been very kind enough to let me know precisely what was going on at every step of the way. Because prior to the arrival of Zenny 62 Media, guess what? Bryan had no advocate, and Mr. Tavares was doing specialized work against him. Everything from photographs to videos that he obtained to editing videos. He did a lot of work that, look, nobody does it for free. Stephen knows that. But here's the thing about Stephen, okay? Stephen never tells the truth. He not at all. He just stays silent about himself, points the finger at other people, or thinks he does, not realizing that, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. I am delighted that Stephen is happy to talk about me because it's marketing for anybody that happens to need the services of Zenny 62 Media because they're getting harassed by him. Do you hear that? You hear that, Stephen? Okay. All right. Because that's what's been going on. All right. Okay. All right. Stephen Tavares is an East Bay blogger who I'm told by a large number of well-known public officials and elected officials that he's paid to write crap about people. And I'm quoting. I'm left the real word that my friend used, the S word, out and put crap in its place just because, I want this to be family friendly. So it came as no surprise that another public official, friend of Zenny 62 Media, would call and tell me that San Leandro Councilmember Bryan Azevedo was being harassed. And then he said, my friend told him, hire Zenny 62 Media because Tavares was paid to write lies about him by a person that I am not at liberty, whose name I am not at liberty to share. Okay? All right? And the difference from what Stephen does and what Zenny 62 Media does, well, there's a lot of differences. First of all, he calls himself a journalist. I don't call myself a journalist. I don't say that what we're doing is journalism. All right? And I'm just being honest about it because then we're free to let you know what our biases are, our opinions, where we're coming from. We're not trying to be objective, which is impossible in media. It is completely impossible to be objective. And those who say otherwise, immediately brand themselves as liars because the minute you select your subject matter, you're expressing your value structure. There's no escape. Okay? There's absolutely no escape. All right? We don't write crap about people. What we do is we, yes, make news blogs or vlogs. I'm the first Oakland's first vlogger. We also do reputation management. That was what we had to do in the case of Bryan Azevedo. He was being so, and I've talked about this before, folks, but it bears repeating. He was being so harassed that one other person who happened to be also in thick as thieves with Stephen Tavares was psychotically on Facebook. Listen to me, psychotically on Facebook, writing crap about Councilmember Azevedo every other day from July 29th of last year all the way to election day. You hear what I'm saying? All the way to election day, every other freaking day. Who does that? Well, this person does, okay? This person does. That's who does it. So all of that we had to come in and combat. And it was done by a person who gets paid. All right? Period. End of story. Mr. Tavares gets paid. That's the truth, and everybody knows it. And you know what? Hey, you get paid. Fine, Stephen, just say so. Okay? You're making product. All right? You're not running a nonprofit, are you? I'm not running a nonprofit. Okay? I'm not hiding in the shadows like so many people in politics do. No need to. All right? Because my clients hire Zenny 62 Media because they've been harmed by folks like you. A lot of them call themselves journalists and make a mockery of the name. You hear what I'm saying? A complete mockery of the name. That's why I don't even attach myself to that onerous way that the good industry of journalism has changed such that allows them in. Period. All right? Journalism needs to open everything up and be honest about it and say, hey, look, here's what this person wants to write and what that person wants to write, and leave it alone. Because while people like Stephen are trying to get, I don't know, whatever he does, okay, here's the fact. It is harder than ever to make money in media. So the best thing you should do is if somebody calls you and says, hey, look, they want you to write something for them, about them, you get paid. Stephen does it. We do it. It's only logical. Do we do it for everyone? Nope, not at all. But if we have to make specialized content, like edit a video so that it's basically divided into like 35 different topics, yeah, we do that for an hour video. That's going to cost. And then because we also have to distribute it, and there's a time involved in that, and then it has to be adjusted with respect to search engine optimization as well, and there are other steps too. And because SEO is a bot, an exercise in making love to bots, yeah, I said that. That's another specialization. Okay, it's all a mess of big fun. But if you try to do it for free, you're a freaking fool. I'm just letting you know, you're a freaking fool. Anybody who says that they do it for free is lying to you. They're absolutely lying to you, because somewhere around they got somebody else paying them. That's a fact. That's a fact. Okay. So, but the bottom line is that Tavarez plays fast and loose with the truth. And I mean, and there was a time I liked Stephen, but that time went away, and I'm happy to explain why it did as I continue. Let me put it this way, okay? I will say right now, straight out, okay, that first of all, we're happy to share that we were hired to defend an elected official who was treated horribly by a media hack with nothing better to do. And I'm talking about Stephen Tavarez. Let me say that I do not like Stephen Tavarez. Why? Because Stephen Tavarez used his stupid podcast to make fun of me being here in suburban Atlanta as a caregiver to my 90-year-old mother. You hear me? All right. I've been doing double duty Oakland, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Cyber living in Oakland, then here, doing everything. And here, I'm, only child saying, hey, look, I need to make this commitment because my mother needs me. So rather than him asking how my mom does like anybody else, what does he do? He gets on a podcast with Lauren Taylor. Yeah, the same Lauren Taylor who was council member of District 6. Yeah, the same Lauren Taylor who's running for mayor. All right. And they start laughing at what he said. Laughing. No mention of what I'm doing. What's here. The fact that my mom nearly died twice or anything that I've had to go through and got my mom out. I mean, how would you like to be in a situation when your mother walks in the room and thinks, I think I'm going to die? And you have to say, well, as I did, not today. Okay? You think that's funny, Stephen? You're a fuckhead. Straight up. All right? Stephen never apologized for that. I have zero respect for him. You hear me? Make sure that your ears are clear of the wax in them. All right? I want you to hear me. Okay? Straight out. Okay? Lauren at least was good enough to apologize. But, seriously? Okay? When you get to a certain age in life, you have a responsibility to your parents. If you think that's funny at your age, Stephen, there's something wrong with you, man. I'm just letting you know there's something wrong with you. Okay? All right? Okay? All right? I'm just saying straight up. All right? Now, by contrast, I've interviewed Mr. Tavares. I've interviewed Stephen, okay? And I put him in the best light. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding, all right? I'll give you a straight up example of what I did because I'm a video guy, all right? I make videos about people because I like people, okay? I enjoyed our conversation. And what was it? It was about Mark Bedane. And here's what I'm talking about, folks, as I bring it up to you right now, okay? Right here. And why do I keep saying okay? Right here. There. This was at the Joint Powers Authority meeting several years ago. And here, right here. Let me change the... I have to change the audio because if I don't change the audio, you're not going to be able to hear. Yeah, you're not going to be able to hear what I'm saying, okay? So let me do that right now. When I mean change it, I mean adjust the settings so that I turn off the echo cancellation so you can hear it. Otherwise, you won't be able to hear him talk. Now, here he is, Mr. Tavares, talking about Mark Bedane, the now former but then president of the Oakland Raiders.
Here's a story that people don't know about. This is actually a positive Raiders story, and I cannot believe it. I have a family acquaintance. They used to work for.
I'm just turning this camera so I can hold it.
They used to work for the. They used to work for the Raiders.
Oh, okay.
And passed away. Piece of, cancer. The Raiders. Mark Bedane showed up at the funeral. They accommodated the wife, and when you're wrapping up an estate,
Sure.
It takes a while to get stuff done, the paperwork, and it takes a while for the money to come in, whatever. She had some financial problems as a result of this. The Raiders floated a good chunk of money to her.
Nice.
And then so she could be comfortable.
Yeah.
And then when she gets that insurance money or whatever money it was, pay the Raiders back.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Wow.
Now I don't know if it's a combination of the Raiders and this certain person who is
I can
wonderful
tell you,
person.
the Raiders do that. They take care of
it
their
really
own.
happened.
They would take care of people. And they've done that for players, employees, associates. I mean, that's the Raider way.
So some of these guys could be on the business level ding dongs.
Right.
But as people, That's an amazing amount of humanity.
Yeah, and I don't think that.
Yeah, so you get, okay, and there's actually a longer video. There's actually a longer video that goes to that, okay? Which is also up. So, but what does this guy do? You know, when I come up, it has to be a snide remark or something like that. And so I'm thinking, what is this guy wiring? Why is he wired like this? I don't obsessed with thinking about it, but at all. But when certain things happen, you just So I decided finally to do some digging, and it's. I mean, the fact of the matter is that after his crack, this happened years before when I interviewed him, but after his crack, about my mother, all right, and not apologizing for it, as far as I'm concerned, Stephen is not a good person. Okay, at least Lauren was good enough to realize he made a mistake and apologize for it. But Lauren has to wear the fact that he was laughing at him on his podcast, laughing at me on his podcast. So, and Lauren hasn't reached out to me to say, hey, I would like to do an interview because I'm running for mayor. So Lauren has his own set of issues, which I think led him to do that as well. I'm tired of dealing with people who have issues about me. Screw you. All right, or screw yourself. I mean it just like I said it. And it's not the right thing to do. It's not a Christian thing to do, but I pray a lot. Because I prayed a lot as I've been, here praying just so my mom can be alive here. And prayer, I believe in the power of prayer. And I also pray for forgiveness. Because I'm going to say some things. I'm not done by any stretch, okay? All right? Okay? Because I'm thinking, why is he like this? Why is he coming off not only not as a good person, but, frankly speaking, as an anti-black racist? You would say, what do I mean? All right? Well, I checked this stuff out. Because there's a lot that I never talked about that I just left alone. But you pick on a person, you prod a person, you hit a person, and after a while, that person, me, says, all right, enough. That doesn't. Okay? You should check out the late J. Douglas Allen Taylor's epic article about Stephen Tavares called Counterpoint, N-word, B-word, Hose, and Stephen Tavares. That's the title, all right? By J. Douglas Allen Taylor, okay? And it's where the great black news commentator writes a month ago, how do you put it? A month ago, I wrote about an East Bay political blogger who had posted a bigoted anti-Asian item on Twitter. Stephen Tavares writes about local politics, including the Oakland mayoral race, in his EB Citizen blog, some of which is reprinted in East Bay Express. He also follows local sports on Twitter. After Oakland Raiders head coach Dennis Allen, who was fired at the end of September, this was back in 2014, Mr. Tavares tweeted on his Stephen Tavares or Tavares at East Bay Citizen Twitter account that he was waiting for my Uncle Eddie to call and tell his suddenly timely joke about the Raiders hiring a Korean coach named, and I'm not going to recite the name here. I wrote it there. I'm not going to recite it, okay? As I wrote at the time, and in the Oakland Elected's column entitled Completely and Totally Inappropriate, Wrong and Inexcusable, this is Mr. Taylor writing, this is not me, okay? Oakland elects September 30, 2014, bigoted so-called jokes making fun of Asian names used to be common in an American life. They have almost completely disappeared from public sight in recent years. But Mr. Tavares, Douglas Allen Taylor writes, seems to have been under the belief that it was all right to pass on this particular bit of racist ugliness. I called upon him, J. Douglas Allen Taylor did, to provide an explanation and a public apology to both the East Bay's Asian American community and to East Bay citizens in general. As far as I can tell, Mr. Tavares did neither. But that was not the end of it. This is Mr. Taylor going on. He says, following the publication of my completely and totally inappropriate, wrong, and inexcusable column, a reader pointed out that this was not the only time Mr. Tavares had engaged in racist bigotry on Twitter. They invited me to do a little more research on the subject, which I did. I found an earlier Twitter account of Mr. Tavares which is at Stephen Tavares, which he appears to have stopped using in the spring of 2012. What I found were several disgusting tweets associated with Mr. Tavares that are, well, you have to read them, Douglas Allen Taylor says, for yourselves and come to your own conclusions. And from there, here's a sample of the words that Stephen put out about black folks that you should be aware of during Black History Month. And this is me writing this now, present day, okay? July 1, 2010, Mr. Tavares retweeted, "It's the first. I know N-words out doing the most with their welfare checks. Laugh out loud, LOL. Then Mr. Taylor wrote, Mr. Tavares, who does not appear to be African American and does not advertise himself as a rapper, seems to believe it's acceptable to do the same." On February 19th, 2010, Mr. Tavares retweeted, "Y'all feel so bad for Tiger Woods. He should blank, black, blank." Okay? He's trying to use a black slang here. They better at being side chicks than those white hoes. That's just what Stephen wrote. Okay? On January 17th, or rather, this is what he retweeted. That was on Twitter. This is what he retweeted. On January 17th of 2011, 2 days following the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, Stephen retweeted, "To all my N-words and my B-words and my B-words and my N-words, wave yo mother blanking hands in the air. MLK." All right? Like Martin Luther King said it. All right? Who does that? Who has any racial sensitivities, let alone sensibilities? Stephen Tavares. And he doesn't apologize. He just runs and hides and pretends like it never happened. He just runs and hides and pretends like it never happened. He thinks it's okay. It's not okay, Stephen. All right? It is not okay. Everybody has lapses in judgment. It happens. Okay? It happens. But for you to go around and get paid to write crap about people, but not clean up your own crap? Okay? Anybody that associates themselves with you, they carry the stench of your behavior toward others. So, straighten up and fly right, man. Straighten up and fly right. Okay? Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark ZennyReport.com. That ends this broadcast.